Humanity was losing the war. Everyone knew it. The soldiers on the last defense line knew it. The children hiding in underground shelters knew it. Even the sky itself seemed to whisper defeat as alien fire rained down like burning tears. Commander Rian stood on the command deck of the final human flagship, the Resolute. His eyes watched the empty darkness outside, where hundreds of broken human ships drifted without power. The Kreth Dominion, the most feared enemy in the galaxy, had destroyed every colony, every fleet, and every hope humans once had. Rian's hands were shaking, but not from fear. He was angry that humanity had fought so long, only to end like this. Angry that the enemy never stopped, never paused, never cared. Angry that his people were dying and he could do nothing to save them. A young officer beside him whispered, "Sir, the Kreth main fleet is entering range." Rian nodded slowly. "I know." The words tasted like the end of the world. Outside the window, space twisted as thousands of Kreth warships appeared like shadows crawling out of nightmares. Their black metal bodies reflected no light. Their engines burned like hungry red eyes staring at the dying remains of humanity. People on the ship stopped working for a moment. They just stared. No one had ever seen such a massive force in one place. "This is the end," someone whispered. Rian did not argue. For the first time in his life, he had no plan, no strategy, no chance. But then it happened. A sound.
Soft, distant, impossible.
It was a whisper, but not from any crew member. Not from the ship. Not from the Kreth. The whisper echoed inside Rian's mind. "Child of Earth." Rian froze. His heart skipped a beat. He looked around sharply, but no one reacted. The officers kept scanning their screens. The soldiers kept preparing for impact. No one else heard the voice. Rian whispered to himself, "What was that?" The voice came again, a little stronger this time, calm like an ancient river. "Do not fear the darkness. We are waiting." Rian stumbled back in shock. His team noticed his expression. "Commander, are you all right?" asked the officer. He forced himself to stand straight. Yes, I'm fine." But he wasn't. The voice felt real, too real, like it was speaking from a memory he never had. A memory older than humanity. Another explosion shook the ship. Lights flickered. The Kreth were starting their final attack, crushing the last human base on the edge of the solar system. "Shields failing," the engineer shouted. "Multiple enemy weapons locking on," cried another. Rian grabbed his chair for support. The voice in his mind returned, but now it felt urgent. "The last moment comes. Call to us, and survive." Rian whispered under his breath, "Who are you?" No answer. Only silence. The Kreth fired. A massive red beam tore through the darkness, hitting a nearby human ship and splitting it in half. The crew of the Resolute watched thousands of lives vanish in a single flash of light. Some soldiers prayed. Some cried. Some simply closed their eyes. Rian clenched his fists. He could not accept this. He would not accept this. He shouted, "All ships, prepare for final defense." But everyone knew it meant nothing. They were seconds away from total destruction. And then the voice returned, louder this time, echoing like thunder inside his skull. "Awaken us." Rian fell to his knees, gasping for breath. The sensation was overwhelming, as if 1,000 memories were trying to enter his mind at once. His vision blurred. He saw shapes, tall figures standing in glowing mist, stars bending around them, worlds rising and falling in their presence. He saw a name. A single name whispered by galaxies long dead. The Ancients. Rian's eyes widened. Humans had legends, stories from forgotten ruins, speaking of powerful beings who existed before time, protectors who vanished after a great cosmic war. Most people believed it was myth. But Rian understood now, the myth was true. The Ancients were real. They were speaking to him. They wanted him to call them. He stood up slowly, breathing hard. "Commander," an officer said shakily, "Kreth final strike incoming. We have 30 seconds." Rian looked at the glowing red wave of enemy weapons charging outside. The end of humanity was moments away. But for the first time in hours, he felt something strange. Hope. He whispered, if there is even a small chance. I have to try. He ran to the central console. His crew stared as he entered strange symbols he should not know, symbols he had never seen in his life. Yet his fingers moved with perfect knowledge, as if the ancients were guiding him. Energy pulsed through the ship. Systems activated by themselves. A star map appeared, a map to a place no human had ever been. The lights on the bridge flickered white. A deep hum filled the air. And then, for the first time, the voice spoke loud enough for everyone to hear. Awaken us, children of Earth. And survive. The entire crew froze. Fear and wonder mixed in their eyes. Rian looked at them with a determined expression. We're not done yet, he said. Set course for the signal. As the Resolute jumped into the unknown, the Kreth fired their final strike, but their target was already gone. And somewhere in the dark, something ancient opened its eyes. When the Resolute came out of the jump, the crew expected to see stars, planets, or maybe another battlefield. But instead, they saw nothing. Not empty space, a deeper, darker nothing, like the universe itself refused to shine in that place. The bridge fell silent. Lieutenant Mara whispered, Sir, our scanners are failing. It's like something is blocking everything. Rian stared at the black fog ahead. It wasn't natural. It felt alive, turning and twisting like a giant shadow waiting for them. The coordinates the ancients gave him pointed straight into that darkness. Some crew members stepped back from the window. Human instinct told them not to enter a place like this. Commander, should we turn back? One officer asked. Rian took a slow breath. No. We go inside. The ship moved forward, and the deeper they went, the colder everyone felt. The lights flickered, and strange symbols appeared on the screens, the same symbols Rian somehow understood earlier. The crew exchanged nervous looks. Mara whispered, Sir, no human language uses these symbols. Rian nodded. I know. The whispering began again. Soft. Distant. Not outside, but inside their minds. Some crew members grabbed their heads in fear. What is that? Make it stop. I can hear voices. Rian felt the whispers too, but they were clearer for him, like someone guiding him gently through the darkness. Closer, you are almost here. And then, the black fog opened like a giant mouth. A massive ancient structure floated inside. It wasn't built from metal or stone. It pulsed like something alive, glowing with blue veins of energy. The moment the Resolute got close, the entire ship shook. Lights turned blue. Consoles flashed symbols no one could read. Sir, Mara said with wide eyes, I think it recognizes us. Rian felt a shiver run through him. It didn't just recognize them. It expected them. He ordered the ship to dock. The chamber they entered felt like stepping into another time. The walls were smooth but warm, softly glowing under their touch. The team walked slowly, every footstep echoing like they were in a giant heart. Suddenly the walls shifted. Not like doors opening, more like the structure was moving by itself. Soldiers raised their weapons in panic. Stand down. Rian commanded. If the ancients wanted to harm us, we would already be dead. The team lowered their guns reluctantly. A path formed in front of them, leading to a huge circular room where a sphere of bright energy floated silently. It hummed gently, like it was breathing. Mara spoke softly, Commander, what is that? Rian stepped closer. The sphere responded. It shot a beam of light directly into his mind. Rian collapsed. His team rushed forward. Commander Rian. Stay with us. But Rian wasn't unconscious. He was somewhere else. In his mind, he saw a galaxy burning. He saw the Kreth rising from dark worlds. He saw a war older than all human history. And then he saw them. The ancients. Tall, glowing beings who shaped stars with their hands. Protectors of young species. Builders of peace. Destroyers of chaos. He saw their final battle, a war so powerful it cracked reality. And then he saw them fall into sleep, waiting for a species brave enough to awaken them again. A voice formed from the light. Humanity is strong, but your time grows short. Rian tried to speak. Why us? The voice responded gently. Because others feared the darkness. Humanity fought it. The sphere dimmed for a moment. A deep sadness echoed in the chamber. We sleep, but we hear your cries. Will you awaken us, child of Earth? The light faded, and Rian gasped, returning to his body. His team helped him stand. What happened? Mara asked. Rian looked at the glowing sphere with a mix of fear and wonder. They want us to wake them, he said quietly. They want to help humanity. But before the team could react, a loud alarm echoed through the chamber. The ship's communication system crackled alive. Commander! The helmsman shouted over comms. Multiple Kreth ships just appeared outside the fog. They found us. The crew froze. The Kreth never stopped. Never slowed. And now, they were here, ready to finish humanity forever. Rian looked at the ancient sphere. Tell me what to do, he whispered. The sphere pulsed like a heartbeat. Awaken us. And survive. Rian turned toward his team. Prepare everything, he said firmly. We wake the ancients now. The chamber walls glowed brighter and brighter as the ancient structure began to stir. And far outside, the Kreth ships charged their weapons for the final attack. The countdown to humanity's last stand had begun. The ancient chamber began to glow with stronger and stronger light, like a sleeping giant waking after 1,000 years. The air felt heavier. The walls hummed like they were breathing. Rian stood in front of the glowing sphere, feeling the power rising. His heart beat fast, not from fear, but from something deeper, something calling him. Behind him, his team watched in silence. Some looked amazed. Some looked terrified. Commander, Mara whispered, are you sure about this? We don't even know what will happen. Rian didn't look back. We don't have time to doubt. The Kreth are already here. Outside the structure, the Kreth ships moved like wolves circling prey. Their dark metal bodies floated around the entrance, weapons glowing red. They were preparing to attack. The crew aboard the Resolute sent another urgent message. Commander Rian. Kreth energy levels rising. If they fire, the entire ancient structure might collapse. Rian stepped closer to the sphere. A whisper entered his mind again. Do not fear, you are chosen. Rian slowly reached out his hand. The moment his fingers touched the sphere, a shock of light exploded around him, lifting him off the ground. His team shouted in fear as his body hung in the air, glowing like burning metal. Commander! Let him go. Stop the process. But no one could stop it. The sphere expanded, wrapping around Rian like a cocoon of pure energy. His eyes glowed white. The chamber walls shifted, symbols rearranging themselves as if they were learning his thoughts. Inside the light, Rian saw visions again. He saw the ancients building entire star systems, guiding young races, and shaping galaxies with only their will. He saw them fall when the first darkness rose. And then he saw the Kreth, a species created from the broken remains of that ancient war. Rian heard the voice again, louder this time. We tested many worlds, all failed. Only humanity fought without surrender. Only humanity cried out, even in defeat. You are worthy. The chamber shook as power flowed into Rian's body. His mind expanded, seeing places he never knew existed. He felt the weight of the ancient knowledge, heavy like an entire universe pressing against his soul. He gasped for air. The voice asked one final question. Will you carry our light? Rian whispered, yes. The sphere exploded. A wave of bright energy burst out, throwing his team to the ground. The entire structure lit up like a newborn star. Outside, the Kreth ships suddenly lost control. Their engines flickered, their weapons powered down, their formations broke apart. Inside the chamber, Rian fell to his knees, breathing hard. But he was changed. His eyes held a faint blue glow. His skin shimmered with tiny patterns, like stardust. And when he spoke, his voice carried a second echo, the echo of something ancient. Mara rushed to him. "Commander, what did they do to you?" Rian looked at his hands, glowing faintly. "They gave me a part of their power, a link. I can connect with the ancient systems." Suddenly, the chamber floor split open, revealing a long circular platform rising from below. The platform held 5 massive crystal pillars, each pulsing with deep blue light. The sphere spoke again, but this time, all of them heard it. "Begin the awakening." The pillars shot beams of energy into the ceiling, creating a huge swirling vortex of light above them. The energy pulsed like a heartbeat, slow, but rising. Mara stared in shock. This is a power we've never seen." Rian nodded. "We're waking something older than our entire history." The structure trembled again. Dust fell from the ceiling. Sparks of ancient energy crawled across the walls. The helmsman's voice shouted through the communicator. "Commander, the Kreth are stabilizing their systems. They're charging their main cannon. If they fire again, we're finished." Rian stood, his eyes glowing brighter. "No," he said softly. "Not this time." He walked toward the central platform, feeling energy flow through him. Every step he took made the pillars shine brighter. The chamber walls hummed louder. Mara stepped forward. "Rian, if this goes wrong." "It won't," he said. "The ancients are with us." He placed both hands on the final pillar. The vortex of light above them roared to life. A huge shockwave burst from the chamber, spreading across space like a ring of fire. The Kreth ships were thrown back as if hit by an invisible storm. Their weapons overloaded. Their engines failed. Their hulls cracked. Inside the structure, Rian felt a presence awaken behind him, several presences. He turned slowly, and saw them. Not fully formed, not physical, but shapes of pure energy rising from the pillars. Tall, glowing, majestic. The ancient ones were waking. The air vibrated with a deep, powerful voice, not one voice, but many speaking together. "We rise again. For humanity. For the last hope." The chamber brightened until everything turned white. Then silence. And the ancients opened their eyes. When the blinding white light faded, the chamber looked completely different. The pillars were glowing like small suns, and around them stood the shapes of the ancients, tall, bright beings made of pure energy. Their bodies flickered like living stars, and every movement sent ripples across the air. The human team couldn't move. They stood frozen in awe and fear. Mara whispered, "Commander, are they really here?" Rian didn't answer. He already felt them inside his mind, calm and powerful, like 1,000 wise voices breathing together. One of the ancient beings stepped forward. Its voice echoed like distant thunder inside every mind. "Humanity, we have heard your cry." The crew shivered. No weapon, no technology, no species had ever spoken like this. Outside the structure, the Kreth fleet was recovering. Their ships fixed formation, weapons glowing brighter than before. They had seen the energy burst. They knew something impossible had awakened. "They're preparing another attack," the ship's comm officer shouted. "A massive strike, bigger than the last one." The ancient beings turned their glowing heads toward the source of danger. Their bodies pulsed once, sending a wave of blue light across the chamber. Rian felt their thoughts. They were not afraid. They were disappointed. Another ancient voice spoke. "The Kreth have forgotten their place. We warned them long ago." Suddenly the chamber walls split open, revealing the outside space, and the Kreth ships surrounding them. But the darkness of the enemy ships looked small now, compared to the light of the ancients. A beam of red Kreth energy blasted toward the structure. The humans braced for impact. But the ancients raised their hands. The beam froze in the air. Suspended. Stopped in time. The crew gasped. Mara whispered, "They stopped a superweapon, with one gesture." Rian felt the ancients' power flowing like fire. Not hateful. Not angry. Just controlled. Focused. The beam dissolved into dust. The Kreth panicked. They fired again, this time with all ships. Thousands of beams rained toward the chamber. The ancients moved again. Space folded like cloth. Time bent like thin glass. The attacks vanished before reaching the structure. Rian felt tears in his eyes. For the first time since the war began, humanity wasn't running. They weren't dying. They were protected. One ancient voice spoke directly to him. Commander Rian, step forward. Rian walked slowly until he stood before them. Humanity fought without surrender, the voice said. You fought even when hope was lost. Now we fight with you. The walls around them shifted again. The chamber opened fully, and an enormous platform rose, carrying the humans and the ancients into open space. The structure transformed, unfolding into a massive crystalline fortress powered by ancient energy. Mara stared in shock. This is a war base. Rian nodded. A war base built by gods. The ancients raised their arms, and huge streams of energy shot from the fortress into the remains of the human fleet. Broken ships repaired themselves instantly. Engines reignited. Weapons recharged with blue fire. Dead ships came back to life. The comm system exploded with voices of shocked human survivors. This is impossible. Our systems are back. Who is doing this? We're ready to fight again. Rian felt pride rise inside him. Humanity had hope again, real hope. But the Kreth were not done. Their largest warship, a colossal vessel called the Obliterator, moved forward. Its dark hull opened like a giant mouth, revealing a weapon that glowed black instead of red. The sensor officer shouted, "Commander, that's the Kreth Eclipse cannon. It destroys planets." Mara swallowed. Even the ancients once feared this weapon. The air turned heavy. The ancients' bright forms dimmed slightly, as if the weapon drained the light around it. Rian felt fear for the first time since the awakening. "Can you stop it?" he whispered. The ancient leader stepped forward. "We will hold the line. But the final strike must come from humanity." Rian stared at them. Humans must finish the Kreth. Humans must earn their survival. The ancients raised their hands again, preparing to resist the cannon. Rian turned to his team. "You heard them. Get back to the ship. Tell every human fleet out there, this is our last stand." Mara nodded, eyes shining. "This time," she said, "we're not fighting alone." The ancient fortress lit up like a second star, preparing to shield the galaxy from the Kreth Eclipse cannon. Rian looked out at the battlefield, heart racing. The final battle for humanity had begun, and the ancients were with them. The battlefield was silent for one long moment, a strange, heavy silence before a storm that could end everything. On one side stood the glowing ancient fortress, shining like a newborn star. On the other side floated the Kreth superweapon, the Obliterator, its black eclipse cannon growing brighter and darker at the same time, like a dying sun swallowing its own light. Humans across every surviving ship felt it. This was not just another fight. This was the battle that would decide if humanity lived, or vanished forever. Commander Rian stood on the deck of the Resolute, his eyes fixed on the massive enemy weapon. The blue ancient patterns still glowed faintly on his skin, and the ancient echo remained in his voice. Mara stepped beside him. "Commander, the ancients are pushing themselves too hard. If that cannon fires, even their power may not be enough." Rian nodded. "That's why we can't let it fire." The comm system erupted with voices from the newly repaired human fleet. "We're ready, Commander. We'll follow you anywhere. For Earth, for everyone." Rian took a deep breath. This was humanity's last chance. Outside the ship, the ancients raised their hands. A massive blue shield formed around the fortress, spreading across space like a giant protective wave. The Kreth ships fired everything they had, but the shield held, barely. Inside the fortress, the ancient leader turned toward Rian. Though the being had no face, Rian felt its eyes on him. The future belongs to your kind. We can hold the cannon, but only for a moment. Strike now, child of Earth. Rian understood. The ancients weren't taking over this war, they were giving humanity the chance to win it. He looked at his crew. Send the signal. All ships, form on me. The human fleet moved, forming a spearhead formation in front of the Resolute. Blue ancient energy flowed through the ships, making them faster, stronger, brighter. But the Kreth were ready too. Their eclipse cannon reached full charge. A black hole of swirling darkness formed at its center. If it fired, everything, the fortress, the fleet, the ancients, Earth, would be erased in one instant. A tremor shook the entire battlefield. Mara whispered, "It's charging faster. Rian, we don't have time." Rian closed his eyes for a second. He thought of the burning cities. The broken ships drifting in silence. The families waiting underground, hoping for a miracle. The voice of the ancients waking inside him. He opened his eyes. They glowed bright blue. "Engage full power," he commanded. "We end this now." The human fleet surged forward. Kreth ships blocked the path, firing wildly. But this time, humanity was not weak, not afraid, not alone. The ancient energy shielded them. Human ships sliced through enemy lines with glowing blue weapons. The ancients strained to hold the eclipse cannon back. The shield around the fortress cracked, then healed, then cracked again. "Hurry," the ancient voices whispered. "We cannot hold forever." Rian pushed his ship forward, the engines screaming under the ancient power. Then the eclipse cannon fired. A beam of pure darkness shot across the battlefield, warping space, breaking time, flattening everything in its path. The ancient fortress met it head-on. Light collided with darkness. Blue against black. Creation against destruction. The shockwave shook every star in the sky. The ancients held, but their forms flickered, growing weaker. Rian shouted, "All ships! Fire everything at the cannon's core!" Thousands of human weapons blazed at once. Blue flames, plasma beams, rail shots, missiles glowing with ancient energy. They slammed into the Kreth superweapon. Cracks spread along the obliterator's hull. The cannon began to destabilize. But the Kreth commander activated a final failsafe, a burst of dark energy meant to overload the weapon and take everything with it, including the solar system. Rian knew it instantly. "If that thing explodes, we all die," he said. Mara looked at him with fear. "What do we do?" Rian felt the ancient power inside him, burning like a star. He whispered, "We finish the job." He connected his mind to the ancient energy link. A bright aura surrounded him. Lights across the ship flickered as his body glowed brighter. The ancients sensed his intent. "No, child of Earth, your body cannot hold that much power." Rian breathed hard. "I don't need to hold it forever," he said. "Just long enough." He reached out his hand toward the enemy weapon. Ancient blue fire burst from his palm. It spread across the battlefield, joining with the human fleet's final attack. The combined strike hit the eclipse cannon's exposed core. A second sun ignited. The obliterator cracked open, screamed with dark energy, and exploded into a massive burst of blue and black light. The shockwave blasted through space. Then, silence. The Kreth fleet stopped. Their power died. Their ships went dark. The war was over. The ancient fortress dimmed. Their glowing forms flickered softly like candles nearing their end. Rian fell to his knees, exhausted, but alive. The ancient leader floated closer to him. "Humanity has earned its place. You are no longer children. You are guardians. Our time fades, but yours begins." Their glowing bodies slowly dissolved, becoming streams of blue light that scattered across the stars like dust. Rian whispered, "Will we ever see you again?" A final voice echoed gently, "Call to us, and we will hear." The light faded. The ancients were gone, returning to their eternal sleep. Rian stood on the bridge of his ship, looking at the peaceful battlefield where darkness once ruled. Humanity had survived. Not because they were the strongest. Not because they were the smartest. But because they never gave up. And now, they carried the fire of the ancients within them. The galaxy would never be the same again.